This week we go in English. The reason is that we got English breakfast. Well, the actual breakfast is in English, but our guest is. He's Charlie Ovey, Crocodiles' defensive coordinator. Watch it. We've spoken earlier about how you got involved with American football, but let's go through it again. So, whatever happened to you, regular English lad who all play soccer as they know it in America?
Yeah.
Well, what went wrong?
What went wrong? Well, I did play soccer until I was about 14 or 15. But when I got to secondary school, so high school when I was 11, they had a rugby team as well, and I enjoyed that a lot more. And my dad particularly enjoyed me playing rugby a lot more than football or soccer. So I kind of went down the rugby path for quite a while, and then by the end of my school career, I kind of felt like I'd played as much rugby as I wanted to, but I was very into sports, and when I was leaving school, I was playing rugby, soccer for fun, like tennis. I was doing kickboxing. So there was a lot of sport that I wanted to do, and when I got to university, I saw they had an American football team, and I tried it out in my first year, and then in my second year they got a new head coach, Phil Wood. Shout out Coach Wood, who was really like the guy that kind of showed me what football could be as a sport, and he had worked in the States at college, and he was the guy that really kind of set me on the path that I'm on now.
So can we sort of characterize you as a violent person who wants to hit people?
No. Well, I wasn't very good at it. So, not violent, but I enjoy watching others be violent. There we go. I think that's the fairest way to describe it.
Yeah. Tell us a little, where you come from in UK?
London. I was born in Crowborough. Then my parents moved to Australia with me for 3 years, and we had my brother and sister there. Then we came back when I was 4 because my dad had got a job back in England, and then we lived in North London for the.
So I thought you got enough of the kangaroos.
Yes. Yes.
So, right. Then we do a little soul searching. How did you end up in Kotka, and then after that here to Seinäjoki?
Well, I'd worked in Poland for 2 years. Once as my first season in Poland, I'd been a position coach, and then I'd been promoted to the defensive coordinator of that club, and that was a really fun experience, and I'd learnt a lot that year, and I felt like I'd performed pretty well. Unfortunately, the team management did not agree that I'd performed as well as I felt like I deserved to be compensated for, so I was looking for a new club. And then sometime in the autumn, it was kind of late in the hiring cycle, I think, so I kind of resigned myself to being a bartender for a year and trying again the year after. But in like October or November, I'd been in touch with Nessie, and we finally got something working. Great 3 years in Kotka. I loved my time there, and then just time passed, and it's time to move on, and got to talking with Kerry, and then with Timo Jari, and here I am here.
Any regrets
about leaving team either time?
No, I mean leaving to different countries and then coming from Kotka to Seinäjoki.
No, we absolutely love Finland. My partner and I both love Finland a lot. We have been here now. This is our 4th year, so fairly long term, and hoping to continue to be here quite long term. Moving from Kotka to Seinäjoki, I'd worked with the Eagles for 3 years. We lived there continuously for 3 years, so obviously there's like friends and family that you leave behind. But Finland is not a huge country, and we've been able to see just about everyone, not as much as we like, but enough throughout the last couple of months that we have just moved a little farther away, and that's life. That's how it goes.
Right. Do a little comparison between Poland, Kotka, and Seinäjoki as clubs and as facilities and so forth, American football in general.
Oh, the Polish team, those guys were so much fun. There was such a great. It was just such a great experience. Like, the players were fantastic. I really felt like it was a very intense team bond and player coach bond in my second year, and it's a very young sport there. So there aren't tons of coaches or tons of people that know stuff or people like yourselves who were involved with the setup of the club. So like, it was me and the head coach and our O-line coach, who's a Brazilian guy, Gus, who would kind of like do everything, do as much as we could. But I really liked that because it meant that we spent a lot of time together and we did work very well together. I really liked that the Polish guys don't speak a ton of English, and because it meant the relationship was much more sincere, and you could really tell if someone was BSing you, because they'd be able to say a five-word sentence, but you could tell if it was real or not. So I really appreciated that. It was a great experience. We would practice. I find Finnish players quite soft, and I'm not afraid about saying this on camera, because in Poland we would practice. I remember one camp we had 4 hours outside with a break in the middle in -13. I remember practices where me and the D-line coach, during the players' warm-up, we would be shoveling the field from snow. So that was very much the proverbial like start at the bottom of the ladder and work your way up. The Eagles, real great experience. Again, it was a very young club, as young as my Polish club, and you could really see that while the club was very new and inexperienced, you could see that football in Finland was not new. So there's like great guys like Nessie who have been around since the forward pass was invented, pretty much. Sorry, Nessie.
Yeah.
And
100 years old.
Exactly. Yes, the Eagles were great. It was very much like a kind of club in the park almost at points. We'd have our practice field. It was kind of small, and it was not like Wirrakid or the great stadium and facilities that we have here, but that kind of, I think, contributed to the magic of it a little bit. But it was a young club with a lot of experienced people involved, though, and that's kind of been the Eagle story, I feel like, for the last few years, and probably for the next few, where the club itself has to do the growth, but there's really experienced people kind of stepping in and stepping out, and so they're always going to be a good team and a good club as long as they have that with them. Yeah.
How's American football in the UK?
If the league was set up the same way as it is in Finland, it would be the best or the second best domestic league in Europe, I think, because there's first of all such a huge population base. There's like 70 million people. And you think about Finland has 5 million people, 2.5 million for each adult team, and they're still really good, right? But it's been played for a long time, just like in Finland. There's a huge pre-existing body of contact sport athletes, of rugby players. Then you have sports, like basketball and boxing, and you have ice hockey as well. So all of that makes the players themselves very, very good, and you always see British guys go abroad and play and perform extremely well. There's been some standouts with the Crocodiles within Finland and other teams. You see those guys go to college football. There's guys in the NFL. There's a guy who went to the University of Nottingham, where I went, who's played in the NFL as an international practice squad player for a few years now. But the league setup itself is very strictly amateur, so it doesn't allow for that. So there's no American, or there's not supposed to be any American players that come. And when the American players come, then everyone else has to dial up their game a little bit, and the other clubs have to push a little harder, right? So that's how that works. But there's not that boost.
Let's go back to the Crocodile stuff. What are your responsibilities with the first team?
With the men's team, I'm the defensive coordinator. Me and Kerry kind of split the special teams. I coach the linebackers mainly, and then I also help out with the DBs as and when they need it. Yeah.
Then you also coach our women's team in second division.
Yep.
You did fairly well this year.
Yeah, the women's team was in the second division, like you said. It was our first year playing since 21, where they folded halfway through, made the semi-final, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And you also coach our kids.
Yeah,
and it seems that you enjoy it.
Yes. The juniors are every team I've been with. The juniors are by far the most fun part of the job. They're kids and they're excited to play football, and I'm just glad that I get to share that and be excited with them and have a good time playing around and messing about with them. Yeah.
What should we do to get more kids involved? You got any ideas?
Do I have any ideas?
You probably do, but can we do them?
I don't know. I think you've got to start with the younger groups, that being U11, potentially U9. I think there is almost an ethical question as to whether they should be playing that young. But I do think the tournament system and the way practices are, or at least the way that I like to do practices, mean that you're not asking kids to run into a brick wall when they're 11, but you do have to wonder. Anyway, I think you should get them in young and then retain players throughout different teams, because I think it's way easier to recruit 20 11-year-olds and then keep them until they're U20s than it is to recruit 5 U11s and every year to add 1 or 2 players, but 1 or 2 leave, and then 1 year you're a joint team and the next year you're not, and then I think that's way harder.
So far we've done fairly well in the Maple League. However, in the last home game we suffered the first defeat on field. What went wrong, or did anything go wrong, or were Roosters just a better team on the day?
I hate to say it, but I think they were just a bit better that day. Well, especially from my perspective, looking at our defense and their offense. We didn't play great. First of all, I didn't coach it very well. They just had a really good plan. They stuck with it. They didn't get spooked when there were some drop passes, or when we made a play, they kind of stuck with what was working. They've got some really, really good players, and I think as much as anything, they finally found a little bit of rhythm on offense. And this was the game that everyone expected them to have been playing for the whole year. And it's just unfortunate for us that they figured it out in Seinäjoki week. But they're a really good team, and their offense played a really good game. Our offense played a really good game, and it was just unfortunate that the defense didn't give us enough of a chance to win.
Well, what about Dimitrios Sinodinos? Threw about 80%. Must have been game of his life.
I agree.
Well, it sort of seemed like that.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game.
Danny Kittner, very impressive.
Yeah, that was maybe not frustrating, but definitely worth seeing now in the regular season, not the playoffs. How we have to defend players, and I remember there was one play, I'm sure you have a photo of it, where Thomas Anthony was defending Danny in the end zone, and he was in great position, and it was like a textbook defensive rep by him, and Danny just reached over his head and caught the ball, and it was maybe his 5th touchdown of the day. And
he's incredible.
Yeah, he was a very good player.
Now on Saturday we will face 3-time Finnish champs, Kuopio Steelers. Earlier this season we upset them at their home ground, which was their first loss in 5 years at home. What do you make out of the game on this Saturday?
It's a quarter-final. It's not a semi-final. It's not a regular season playoff game. It's the quarter-final. We are fortunate in that we have a lifeline in the quarter-final. We do get a rematch, but we know that they're treating it that way. Because it's win and survive for them, it's win and go forwards. So we have, in the office and in practice and in our meetings, that's what we're thinking as well, is that it is a quarter final, and there's a lot of stops being pulled out, and in addition to it being somewhat of a rivalry game as well, and it's a home game, it's the last home game. We got beat bad last week, so there's all these other factors, but the bottom line is that it is a playoff game for both teams.
We've already secured the spot, like you said, in the semi-final, and we will be playing at home. Is it a advantage to be in this position at this stage, or would it be better to be playing for your life? How do you see it?
Oh man, well, Zach Whitehead would tell us that hungry dogs run faster. So there is definitely a certain element to, you play better when you have to play better. At the same time, I don't think that should undermine the hard work that's been put in, and the boys have done a tremendous job every game all year to be in the position that we're in, and that should be rewarded, and it is being rewarded. I don't know. I think the season that we've had has shown potential so far, and I don't think that potential has yet been met. I think probably that first Steelers game was the closest we've come to playing like a good game from start to finish.
I think the Roosters game was pretty good.
The Roosters game, you're right, that was pretty good. But I think I think winning these games has shown us what we can do, and not our full ceiling yet. So, I think it is good for us to keep pushing in that sense.
Let's jump away from football for a moment. What else is there in life? For you?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I have my wonderful partner Becky Martin. I hope still asleep at home. We have a rescue dog, Nina, she recently made friends with Zach Whitehead, lovely guy, and he, won our
Two
dog
dogs
over.
met?
Yes, 2 dogs met, exactly. I just finished my master's degree last week. I did my final piece of work.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It took a while, 2 years, but thank you.
2 years is nothing.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah.
What about your favorite pastime? What do you do? Books, music, TV? What?
I like walking with the dog. I like spending time with the dog. That's something that's really nice about Finland is, there's so much nature everywhere. That's something we love about Kotka. That's something we really like here. Is you step outside the door and you can't help see a tree, right? So that's something that we really like, and those two things have lined up really well. Like me liking nature, getting a dog, living in Finland, marries very well.
It most certainly isn't Piccadilly Circus.
No.
I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely not.
So, what do you miss from England most?
Oh, there's friends and family, of course. What do I miss from England? I lived in London for a long time, and it wasn't. I did not like it. I didn't like the urban, like the buildings everywhere, and that was a thing I didn't like. So I definitely do not miss that. Family and friends. Every now and then you want a Sunday roast, and you just can't get that in Finland. And
You gotta do it.
well, you can make it yourself,
Yeah.
but it's not the same.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, something in the water as you make it. It doesn't quite hit the same. So I'll stick with those.
So you are definitely not moving to Croydon anytime soon.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Where does your future lie? What are your ambitions?
Oh well, short term, we want to win the Maple Bowl this year with the men's team. Kind of a little bit thinking more medium term. We want to stick around in Seinäjoki and help elevate not just the men's team, but the whole club to a slightly different stratosphere of success. And that's something that I really like. That here I get to work with a lot of teams, and men, women, and the juniors. I feel like I get the chance to affect a lot of players. So continue working with the 3 different facets of the club and push them forwards. I don't know. I really enjoyed my master's stuff the last 2 years, and kind of the more academic side of coaching. And I hope at some point I'm able to use that a little bit more than I have.
When you grow up?
When I grow up, when I get a real job, I hope to be able to be a bit more academic in that real job, whatever it is. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Charlie, for coming here.
You're welcome. Thank you for breakfast.
Hey, it's Alma, and it's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Okay, we'll see you on Saturday.
Go Crocs.